Chapter 1. A Monster is Born. If you were like me, you were over 40, if not 50, 60, or even older, and probably not exceptionally good looking or super rich. Maybe you've been married and been trying your hand with all the local girls who have been pumped so full of feminist dogma over the past 40 years you don't even know how to relate to them. Do you put up a strong veneer and present yourself as more successful than you actually are? Or do you show a more genuine, open, and honest front where you can try and be relatable regarding some of life's struggles? It never matters. The net result seems to always be the same. One day things are great, the next day you've been deleted from her life. Or have you tried stepping down, maybe dating someone a little less pretty? Maybe she's a bit porky, but hey, who cares if she's nice? Only to find out this jumbo-sized girl is as mentally exhausting as all the other girls, and her face is covered in Cheeto dust. Then one day, as you vacillate between YouTube videos of that next boat you're looking to buy and your dating profile's empty mailbox, you suddenly notice an ad you've seen 1,000 times before, but this time it speaks to you in a way it hadn't before. The ad reads, "Marry a Russian woman," or "Hungry hot Latinas want you," or "Get slanty with someone from Singapore," and you think, you know what, let me click on that. As you begin the process of reprogramming your brain one video at a time, it would all make sense. Yes, American women are far too gone. Ukrainian women have McNugget-free bodies, unlike those here in America, who have been raised on a diet of cheeseburgers and cola, only to stuff their sausage-like legs into a pair of skinny jeans. Another thought pops into your mind. Filipino chicks have not been raised from the time they could talk that all men are misogynist scum. Or you think, that Colombian girl will treat me like a king when I show up to her farm and let her know I'll be the only fat pig she will ever have to feed again. For God's sake, who wouldn't want to believe that? You mean I can get in one package old-fashioned values, a young, tight-fit body, combined into one peasant girl who will think my $24,000 a year Social Security will make my lifestyle equivalent to Bill Gates? But wait, you think, it can't all be naked farmhands and impoverished coconut gatherers just waiting for some American to come save them. This just sounds a little too easy. Let's see what happens when I type in "foreign bride scam," and magically 1,000 videos appear that slap you back down. So this is the genesis of the book. Is there nobody out there doing a review who's either not on camera with the company hosting the event, or someone who got burned and is bitter about the whole experience? And are all foreign brides equally as scammy as the next? This is where we come in. And by we, I mean me and the imaginary person that I'm going to say did all the really embarrassing stuff. I'm just kidding. In all seriousness, you may remember when Barack Obama wrote about his girlfriend in one of his autobiographies. He explained that she was a collage of all his girlfriends. Well, I'm going to apply this same technique to me. Some of the stories in this book are mine, and some are stories that I picked up along the way thinking they were too funny not to steal for this book. What you're about to read is several years' time, effort, and research flying around the world, dating and interviewing as many people as possible who have something of value to contribute to the great mystery of international dating. When one begins a journey, one always starts at the beginning. Where then does one point to the beginning for this journey? At what point was the exact beginning? Was it the end of my marriage, or was it much earlier, like childhood? While I'm not interested in taking the reader down a tortured road of my childhood, I'll give you the bullet points. I was a skinny, geeky white boy in El Paso, Texas. I know, total chick magnet. From my early teens to my mid-20s, I tried to bridge the gap between happiness and loneliness with alcohol. Soon after finding sobriety, I found a friend who I would eventually marry. As the great Dennis Prager said, however, sometimes good people marry wrongly. After our 10-year relationship ended, I found myself alone and without that crutch known as alcohol to prop me up. For the past 8 years since my divorce, I've been on this weird merry-go-round where I'm with someone, sort of, then single for a couple of years, then I find myself kind of back in a relationship for about 2 years, etc. If you're reading this, it's probably because you're a guy who has gone through a similar situation, and nothing further needs to be said about life in the single lane. This brings us to the present. After my last breakup, I had to ask myself, did I get back on that horrible nightmare of a ride that's called Plenty of Fish / eHarmony / Match, where I degrade myself by sending out thousands of emails to a bunch of middle-aged pig-faced monsters? Pig-faced monster is a term of endearment I've given to the attractively challenged, most of which will never be read, let alone responded to. Or do I ignore the thousands of videos warning me what a scam these international dating sites are, and plop down a ridiculous wad of cash on this piece of hope being sold by companies like A Foreign Affair? Of course, I could always try and make peace with being single, and work on being a nicer person. I'm worried, however, that it would interfere with this bitterness I've been cultivating for so many years. Hold on, there's one more option. It's called the Do It the Christopher Way. What's the Do It the Christopher Way, you ask? Well, my ex-wife would describe it this way. God, you make such a production out of everything. Yes, that's it. I'll form an LLC, spend thousands of dollars, travel for weeks at a time, sit in front of my laptop for countless hours writing everything down so I can eventually create a book that maybe a dozen people will read. And if you're one of my 12 readers, thank you very much. In fairness to me, even if I weren't going to turn this into a book, I would have done it all the same way. As long as one is going to spend the money, one might as well try and turn it into a business. Get the write-offs, and regardless of the outcome, you can always say, I did it for the book. And that is your first golden nugget.